There is now more Russian naval activity in Europe than at any point in the Cold War, a top US and NATO military officer has warned. Navy Admiral Michelle Howard, who heads NATO's Allied Joint Force Command in Naples and commands U.S. forces in Europe and Africa, said Russia's strident maneuvers could leave the West at a disadvantage. She warned that when you think about what happens when they move forces around, you look at the alliance and they end up splitting and distracting the view of the alliance. We are seeing activity that we didn't even see when it was the Soviet Union. It's precedential activity, Howard said during a missile defense conference. They're a global navy, I understand that. But the activity in this theater has substantially moved up in the last couple of years. At the start of the year, Russia's sole aircraft carrier, the Admiral Kuznetsov, was deployed in the Mediterranean Sea. It has since returned to Russia for a planned 2-year refurbishment. Russia deployed its Admiral Grigorovich frigate to the sea to stand guard over the Tartus port, from which the USS Porter and Ross launched an airstrike on the Syrian airbase. It's not just the Mediterranean that has seen appearances by Russian ships, the country has stepped up patrols in the North Atlantic and Arctic region, Howard said. And it has significant out-of-area submarine deployments around Europe, as well as increasing submarine movement in the Black Sea, she said. That creates a risk that NATO members will focus only on the Russian ships at their borders rather than creating a cohesive, unified strategy to deal with the wider picture, she said. Howard's comments came amid a sharp escalation in tensions between Russia and the U.S. after Washington launched 59 cruise missiles against an airbase in Syria in retaliation for a deadly toxic gas attack that killed scores of people. Howard said the Russian naval maneuvers had been matched by increased persistent cyber attacks by Moscow, and a steady number of unprofessional flybys by Russian aircraft of U.S. and other Allied vessels at sea. There have also been appearances by Russian spy ships in international waters near the U.S., such as one spotted near the coast of Delaware in February. 4 Russian planes also buzzed the USS Porter that same week while it was stationed in the Black Sea. Ties between Moscow and the West have been strained since Russia's annexation of the Crimea region of Ukraine in 2014 and its support for separatists in eastern Ukraine. NATO has built up physical forces in Poland and the Baltic states to build up a deterrent and underscore the strength of the alliance. But US and European officials are also increasingly concerned about what they describe as Moscow's use of propaganda and cyber attacks to influence Western elections. Russia denies Washington's claim that Moscow sought to influence the U.S. election, and views NATO's buildup of troops in Europe as a provocation. Howard said members of NATO had rallied to increase their capabilities and send a clear signal about the strength and resolve of the alliance. She hailed a recent agreement by Germany and Norway to build new submarines together as a sign of increased cooperation and said she would welcome further efforts by European partners to pool resources.